Rest of Aquarimax Pets here. I see we have UK Exotics, Frank the Tank, Kendall Pat, Melanie KM, Sean Meister are all here. Can you hear me? How am I sounding? I apologize, I'm not feeling great today, so I haven't been feeling well for a while now, and so I did some confusing things, caused some people some confusion yesterday when they tried to join the stream. But Melanie says that you can hear me, so that's good. And so does Kendall. I see we have Verge Reptiles. Good, I'm going to zoom in here, what I'm working with. Good, thank you everyone for confirming that you can hear me. I appreciate that. Shout out to Verge Reptiles. Cool. I think you're new here. Is that right? Are you new here? I don't recall having seen you here before. So, if so, welcome. Welcome also to Theropod Hunter, who is a returning viewer, a faithful attender of the live stream for quite a long time. I see that Mike and Susie pair. Greetings. Joining us from Phoenix. Fantastic. How's the weather there? Bet it's warmer than it is here. It's not cold here. It's pretty warm, but I bet Phoenix is warmer. Okay, so Verge Reptiles first live stream. Fantastic. Thanks for joining us today. Anyone want to shout out the isopod that we're working with here on screen? You want to ID it for us? Species and morph. 112 right now. Oh, wow, that is warmer than it is here. We're not very close to that. It's only 99. No, it's 100. It's 100 degrees. So you're 12 degrees warmer than we are. Figured it would be warmer there. Joseph Tavir is here as well. Fantastic. And Lee Carey is joining us from Northern Ireland. Fantastic as well. We've got lots of participants from different areas of the world. I love that. That's one of the fun things about these streams, is that we get to welcome people from different places. I'm going to put those right there. Okay. I'm afraid today's going to be a bit of a short stream because despite my my attempts to, I'm trying to do what I can. I'm not feeling great today, so I'm just gonna probably only do about half an hour stream, just to preserve my health, because I don't have the energy I need to have to do this for a long time, and I'm not feeling well. Even sitting down, I get dizzy, so I'm gonna do my best. I see, and thank you, Frank the Tank, for that. I do appreciate the support there. That's one of the best things that I need right now for support, is just an understanding of my limitations while I'm trying to get better, so I appreciate that. I see that Tennyson has joined in. Welcome, Tennyson. Looking forward to our excursion we're going to be taking with Invertebrate Dude in a couple weeks here. By then I hope I'm feeling better. I'm sure I will be. It's a couple weeks off. So let's see. Melanie Cam guesses it's Porcellanites pruinosus. Good guess, but it's not that one. They do look similar. Pygmy sneezes says orange cream, which would be that species as well. So good guess, but not that one. And Tennyson's got it. This is Porcellio orange koi. Had them in a smaller bin, just kind of a smaller group of them in a smaller bin, and they're outgrowing it, so I'm moving them over. And as I catch some of them, you're not gonna see all of them on screen. As I catch them, I'm gonna look them over, and we're gonna do some at the end of the move. If I see any that are super low expression, either almost all white or almost all orange, I'm gonna take some of those out and put them in with the lottery mix, which helps maintain the high expression trait in the koi. So that's what we're working on. So I see that let's see. Well, I got COVID. I tested positive on last Wednesday, so it's been a week. And I feel considerably better than I did last Wednesday, believe me, but still not great. So, but yeah. So I'll live, but it hasn't been fun. It's been a rough week. Let's see. There, butt honey. We tried echinacea tea. I haven't yet. I mean, I have before had echinacea, and it's good stuff. I haven't tried it this particular time. But maybe that's something I should give a go, because I have used echinacea in the past for the immune system. Pretty good stuff. Let's see. Kim Pachi is here. Welcome. Zero Cool Ninja's here. And JH needs lots of rest. Yes, lots of rest. I was talking to someone the other day, and they said radical rest, meaning far more rest than you think you need, is what you've got to do to heal from this stuff. So that's what I've been trying to do, and that's part of the reason I'm cutting down this stream, so I can do just that. I've been really trying to take it easy. And this is one of the most active days I've had, but I'm trying not to keep it very active. I'm trying to still rest as much as I can, as a practical matter. Let's see, B Money. Struggling powder orange colony. Some monkey, but 3 dead adults in the bin the last week. Ooh, so how big is your colony, and how many you have total in there? I mean, you have a pretty good chance of reviving it. They're pretty tough isopods. Just kind of wondering what we're working with in terms of complete numbers and stuff. As I scoot these over. Radical rest is hard in this day and age. It is rough, because the expectation is that we just keep on trucking no matter how we feel. But I think radical rest is something we don't value enough culturally. We need to do that more. So 100% agreed on that. So yeah, Tennyson, I'm totally looking forward to our trip. We had fun last time, but I think we're going to have better weather this time. So it was so cold last time, unseasonably cold in June of all times. And some of you have heard about that trip we took. And we saw some cool stuff. We found a Scolopendra, probably viridis, I think we decided. We found some cave crickets camel crickets, sorry, not cave crickets. Camel crickets that Tennyson collected. How are they doing, by the way, Tennyson? Saw some other cool stuff too, but not the profusion of darkling beetles that I typically see in those areas, the very areas we were in. Typically see huge numbers of darklings, desert darklings like Eleodes obscura and Eleodes hispalabris, that kind of stuff. Some of the smaller desert darklings as well in that area. You'll find velvet ants in that area. Lots of reptiles, rattlesnakes, the Great Basin rattlesnakes, Great Basin gopher snakes. We did find a dead, what was it, a sagebrush lizard or something. We find lots of whiptails in the area, yellow-bellied racer, stuff like that. There's a bunch of stuff. We just didn't find much compared to what I would have expected. So we're looking forward to this other trip and better weather, and we're going to go to a couple of different sites nearby and see what we can find. So that'll be really fun. And I don't know if I mentioned yet, but Invertebrate Dude's going to be joining us, which is fantastic. We both know Invertebrate Dude online. I've interviewed Invertebrate Dude several times, and we communicate online fairly frequently. Tennyson and Invertebrate Dude and I, of course, share a lot of interests in the invertebrate world and beyond. So that is going to be fun to all be able to get together and do this, because Invertebrate Dude lives like 4 hours away, and Tennyson lives about an hour away, and so we're gonna be able to meet up, which should be fun. So okay, with 15 adults, yeah, I would start worrying if you have 3 that passed away within such a short period of time. There may be something environmental going on. So review, are there any chemicals that they could have been exposed to? That's one thing to think about. Any temperature fluctuations or anything that maybe could have caused a problem? Think about that. One thing I want to do is address the Patreon questions. We have quite a few from the last week or two. I was going to address them in the last stream, and of course didn't get to the last stream because I felt too bad. Did not feel up to it. So we're going to try to address those now. So, let's see what we got. So first comment, I think, is on sorry. One was from Sandy. She was saying she lives in the Carolinas, I believe it is, and a roach from outside got into the house, and she's worried about it getting into bins. So we were going to talk a little bit about that and other pests, and we had some other questions, but that's how it started. Thank you. Sorry about the sneeze there. Anyway, about how to deal with things that hitchhikers of that kind that try to make their way in. What can we do about it? And one thing that I did, without hurting our own, creatures, because that's dangerous too. You don't want to deal with that. Hurting your own animals with pest control, which is definitely a possibility. Some measures of pest control are quite dangerous for other creatures. So, one thing I was thinking about when I lived in Hawaii, roaches are just a part of life, basically. You have to control them, of course, though, but they don't die out in the winter because it's not cold enough, and the way our house was built, they could get in, and there's nothing we could do about that. So unless you have like a sealed off place to live, you're kind of stuck. So what we did was we used these traps that have a bait attractant, no toxins, but they're sticky traps with a bait attractant in the middle. Drop it in there and the roaches go in and get stuck. So that's a pretty safe method. You could also experiment with some diatomaceous earth in places where the roaches are likely to hang out, because as long as that stays dry and they crawl through it, that can be damaging for them. But I wondered what else other people had to say about that and what they have used successfully to control roaches. I don't have a problem with them here. It's a different climate and so on here. I haven't had to deal with that, but issues that things that you may have found that help keep things out of your enclosures, stuff like that. So, if you have some tips, I'd love to hear that as well. So, Audrey says, a word of warning to newer keepers like me: don't go poking around your enclosures multiple times a week looking for fungus gnats. Turning over new leaves is like flipping bark in terms of stress for isopods, and you're unlikely to find all the fungus gnats yourself anyway. Learned this the hard way, lost a few pods. That is one thing that you need to be careful about, overstressing the isopods, and too frequent, being disturbed too frequently can do that. So that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. This specimen here, if I can catch it, is basically super low expression, maybe zero expression for the pied, or the patterning. It looks basically like a Spanish orange. Oh, sorry, alarm going off for the normal live stream time. Okay, warning me that that's coming up, because I usually do these at 5:30. See, this has a teeny bit of patterning, but hardly any. So that's going to go into the Lotto mix, which is fine. It'll add some interesting genetics to the Lotto mix, but most of the others in here have some decent patterning. Let's see. Some of these are lower expression, but as long as they have some decent contrast on them, I want to keep them in there. The younger ones, sometimes it seems like don't have as much as they grow older. Do you have any others you'd take out of there? Let's see. I'm just checking the comments to see if there's something other. Okay. Oh, so Audrey says, I'd recommend using a pest control method that best suits your husbandry style. Some people recommended SF nematodes to me for fungus gnats, and while I think they can work, they involve getting 70% plus of the enclosure wet, which isn't great if you have species that like it more dry. You can just use them on the moist side, but I feel like it isn't as effective. Plus, if the enclosure already has the right amount of moisture, then it's a little more tricky to add the nematodes. I'm going to be getting rove beetles, though, from Kyle at Roach Crossing in a couple of weeks. I'm excited to try them out. I've tried rove beetles, and Sandy has tried rove beetles, and we find that they seem to be a good way to decrease fungus gnats. And I have read that the nematodes can actually damage isopods, so that's why I haven't experimented with the nematodes. I read an academic paper that they cause some fatalities with isopods, so that's why I haven't used that. Audrey says, hope you're feeling better, Russ. I did end up having a question about pest control. A friend of mine has been battling a fruit fly infestation. It's quote, fruit fly, unquote. Infestation in all of his bins for months. It turns out that these fruit flies are actually phorid flies, Phorid. Do you have any experience for dealing with phorid flies? Any leads would be much appreciated. I have had dealings with phorid flies occasionally, and they're not. It depends on which type of phorid fly, because there's more than one type. Phorid fly is a whole group. I believe, I think it's a genus of, it might even be a family, I'm not sure, but there are phorid flies of different types. And phorid flies are nasty in that they, depending on the type, they're going to be pestiferous things. They tend to be recognizable partly because they run on surfaces rather than fly. They tend to be bigger than fungus gnats and wider of build than fungus gnats, but also they are and they run rather than fly, but they're also their habits are different. They tend to go after dead things, especially dead animals, dead insect life, dead even mammals, whatever, dead things. They go after decomposing flesh, preferentially, but it does depend on the type and so on, and some will eat different things. But one thing is, when you get phorid flies, you need to look into the situation where they are and why they are there. What are they going after? And see if there's an issue you need to address there in terms of things that are dying off, because that could be why they are proliferating, and removing that source. Another thing you can think of doing is using the Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, which is sold as mosquito bits, and it is a bacterial insect control. And it is, these bacteria are impregnated into basically pieces of corn and corn cob, something like that, some sort of corn-derived substance. And they have these granules, and you take the granules and you can either soak them in some purified water. I would recommend not using chlorinated water because you might kill off some of the bacteria. Just putting them in, soaking them in some water and using that to water your isopods. Not directly mist or spray the isopods themselves, but moisten your moss or your hydration station or whatever sort you're using with that liquid, and do that once a week, and do that consistently in all of your enclosures. And that can help control fungus gnats, but it could also help control the phorid flies. So those are phorid flies, Phorid. And so Laura Taylor, HOCL safe to use to clean terrariums with cleanup crews in them. Areas with HOCL. What is... I'm kind of stupid right now, to be honest. My brain's not working very clearly, so let me know what you mean by HOCL. I probably know this, I'm just not thinking. So yeah, the phorid flies, some of them will go after things like CGD, which causes a problem. So I have only experimented to a limited extent with Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis, but I think it's probably worth a shot. So Timotheus, thank you for the reminder to hit the like button. Appreciate that. Let's see if there's anybody else in there. I think that's about it for the comments. Is it right? Yeah, I think so. I think we're just about there. Hypochlorous acid, lower amount of chlorine. Okay, I have not played with that. I've not used it all. Played with that is probably a poor choice of words, but I have not used it at all, so not sure what to say about that one. I don't want to say something because I haven't had any experience with it, so I feel like I can't really say anything. But I hope you're able to find out some more about that. So mosquito bits is, yeah, the Bacillus thuringiensis israelensis. It's also sold as mosquito dunks they're bigger pieces, and they're made out of something else for floating in ponds specifically. And then Natrol, Gnatrol, same active ingredients, the bacteria. So my understanding, Mike and Susie, is that it works with phorid flies. I haven't used it for phorid flies, but my understanding is that it works with that. So I would be willing to test it out. So Timotheos, are there any plants that isopods and millipedes won't eat that are good for terrariums? Let's see. The really tough-leaved ones are typically good. Smugbug has an article on her website about some tough ones. Some things that she mentions are Hoya, Hoya. Hoya is a good one. She says some of the tougher things like bromeliads, Neoregelia bromeliads, I think she mentions in there. I've never had an issue with either, Neoregelia been mentioned on by isopods. I have Neoregelia, or Regelia, whatever. Neoregelia bromeliads are pretty tough, and they don't seem to be eaten by isopods. Anything with a really tough leaf seems to be safe, pretty safe. Some of the ones that really get munched, in my experience that I've noticed, are some of the ferns, mosses, live mosses, and what's the other one? Fittonia people talk about all the time. Fittonia really seems to be food that they love. Tea drops. So what's in tea drops, Laura Taylor? Question. So Nico, question request, I have a huge phobia of spiders, and I was wondering if you could share why you like spiders and why you think they're cool. Yeah, that's cool. Pothos, Sean, is supposed to be good too, from what I hear. Question or request. So huge phobia of spiders. I think spiders are fascinating. I think part of the reason I love spiders is because there are things like jumping spiders that seem to actually react to you, to form some sort of relationship with you. I think that's fascinating. I find things like tarantulas with their incredibly long lifespan and amazing colors and patterns. I think that's fascinating. I think the whole fact that they can build webs to catch their prey, with some species that use webs to catch their prey. Sorry, somebody's driving along there really loud. Is fascinating. I think the huge profusion and variety of spiders is amazing, and the fact that spiders have colonized so many different parts of the world is pretty fascinating too. Does that help? I've had something of a phobia of spiders in my life as well, and I think I'm pretty much over it now. Although if a spider were to surprise me too much, I think I wouldn't be too happy about it. But I hope that helps. So I want to show you. Somebody was asking about lava Dalmatian. I unfortunately lost my lava Dalmatian. I do have some lottery ghost here, and I have some orange pied I got from Derek Niehaus. He sent me some lava Dalmatian. I unfortunately lost those. But the other ones are all doing really well. That's true. I've had isopods with oak leaf, ivy or oak leaf fig, and they've done well. Lynx spiders do pursue their prey actively, and they don't use webs necessarily. Xanthan gum, interesting. Interesting. See, you can see the lottery ghost have some really interesting things going on them. Xanthan gum. I do have xanthan gum. We use that. I'm not sure. I didn't know that was used in that way. For some reason, I can't. It's not letting me adjust the width of this thing. Just accidentally kicked the mic. Or kicked the cord. I like to use wireless mics, but I can't use them on my iPad anymore because my iPad apparently is too old for that. But the port has gone bad, I guess. So I can still charge it with some difficulty, but I can't hook those mics to it anymore. What I can do is hook a wired, just normal mic in the other port. So that works here. Okay, who's got this species for me? This is our last species of the day because we only got a couple minutes. Let's see. There are a lot of them in here. I just saw bunches of them, but I guess I covered up a bunch of them. There's some. What species are we looking at here? Anybody got this? There goes one. Not Jupiter. Good guess, though. I'm interested in tea drops now. And what are they sold for again, Laura Taylor? I kind of missed that. Nesodila arcangeli. Okay. Also a good guess, but these are actually quite tiny. These are minuscule pods here. Very, very tiny. Let's see if I can kick up a few more there. There's a bunch of them. These are adults and they're absolutely minuscule. That's an adult. So that should give you some idea. Cubaris species panda? Nope. Not that one. I guess I better give it to you because I've got 30 seconds left. These are Venizilo-parvus Dalmatian. They're pretty slow to move once they get disturbed. So some of them are starting to move now. But Venizilo-parvus Dalmatian, a micropod or a dwarf isopod. They're not that much bigger than dwarf whites. They're definitely stockier, but in length they're not that much longer, and they're pretty cool. So I'm really interested in this now, Laura Taylor. Thank you for that tip about tea drops. I hope some people go in and learn a little bit more about that and how they work. I'm fascinated by it. Anything to help control fungus gnats. One thing I use is I have a Drosera capensis sundew plant that eats loads of fungus gnats all the time. So I love that as a control for fungus gnats, but there are lots of other things you can do as well. All right, well, it's about time for me to go. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I'm sorry this is short, and I'm sorry my brain's not working like it should be. But I would not keep Venezuela parvis in a cleanup crew in a live plant enclosure because these eat plants. They are big plant munchers. So in something without live plants may be good, but otherwise not. Time for me to radically rest. Thank you all for joining, and hopefully I'll be in much better shape next week. Catch you later.